We have a full house. Hello and welcome, everyone. I love the mistyping of salutations into hallucinations. That's wonderful, Rod. That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. We have Dreamlab, we have Rod, we have Christina, we have the Fibe Sober King, Sober Fiber King, Soap Fiber King from New Jersey. We have Julia in the house. We have Steve from Down Under. This is exciting. And if I've missed anyone, that was not deliberate. That's just because my brain has limited capacity for memory these days. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's going to be an exciting day, and I'm really sorry to hear about your monitors, Dreamlab. That is never good when that happens. Yes, I'm a little bit in. Joe will join us later. That's perfect. Say hello, or we'll say hello when Joe joins. My brain is a little bit fuzzy, and that is because I've been 3Ding all day. Because I believe, when was it? Yesterday evening? I don't even remember. When did we have this? When did we have this iClone discussion, Brian? That you put SciFi City into iClone, and I got inspired and thought, hey, maybe I can try and put our Polygon City scene into Unreal Engine and just see, well, how difficult is it to do this? I believe I did this morning. I did a YouTube premiere this morning. And thank you so much for subscribing, by the way, Johnny B. Cat or John Cat from YouTube. We had a little chat this morning. It's wonderful that you could perhaps join us on Twitch. I was tinkering around, and it looks like opening that Polygon City in Unreal Engine is actually fairly easy. And I wanted to share that with you because there's so many pieces to the puzzle. So maybe we can kind of defuzz everything. And thank you so much for hosting my stream. I appreciate that, Steve. Very nice. So usually at the beginning, I show you a little animation in which we review what we did there last time. And today I shall do the same, but I'm not going to show you a pre-recorded one. I'll show you a live one. And let me see if I can remember how to do this. This way, that way. Which one is it? Oh my God. This one. That's the one. Perfect. I'll just grab my game controller. I'll just casually switch it on. I hit the play button up here. And this is the scene from Synty as it comes with the Polygon City pack. I'll press F11 to go full screen, and then I'll move the cursor out of the way as well. And then I'll just go and almost do what we've been doing in Blender, but I'll do this live with my game controller. That is something I thought was kind of cool. There's also up and down. That is possible. And you can literally just fly around in the scene, and it does this in more or less 60 frames a second. And this isn't even the compiled release version. This is just doing it. And all I did was literally double click the project that came with the Polygon assets. And that's phenomenal. I've downloaded them all now, but this is the only one that I've tried out so far. And I thought, this is so phenomenal, I wanted to share this with you. And of course, all the intricate steps that are necessary to make this happen. It's phenomenal, isn't it? And this also, so this has several tricks in it. So if I go into the dark now, it's not that pronounced, but the exposure is adjusted to the top so that anything that is kind of exposed lower, it looks different than when there's a sky in the picture. Speaking of the sky, if we just go into the park and look at the sky is actually moving. So I'm not moving my controller now, but if you look at the clouds, there's a subtle movement in the clouds. That's unbelievable. Literally real-time animation, so no rendering, waiting overnight to see the results. They're there instantly. That is something I found absolutely unbelievable. And I know very little about Unreal Engine, but it is very easy to pick up. So usually what I perceive, and that's what I meant in the beginning. I get very frustrated and overwhelmed, and things are very clunky to do. And Unreal Engine is of course no exception in regards to the complexity, even more so than on a regular 3D application. But I don't know, it's just a very welcoming experience. So I'll share with you what I know so far, and I'll show you a second animation, because this is just the scene as it comes, and this is a first-person controller that's literally attached to the scene. And the only thing that I've done here is map my up and down buttons so that you can control it like a drone. That isn't part of the template, so I'm using Xpatter to do that because I'm kind of used to pressing these the shoulder buttons on the controller and just browsing around in the scene. So what a first person template does is that it doesn't show you the character you're actually playing. It only shows you the first person immersive view there. But if I go out of this and just minimize it, I'll go to the other project I've got open. And that's the one that I've just been working on for the documentation. I've just documented how to do all these steps to make this character move. And it's essentially the same thing, I believe. We just go like that, we move the cursor out of the way, and I can control Policewoman, and she can run through the whole scene. That is quite exciting. And I believe I've made a little lighting adjustment here so that the darker parts are exposing better. So if we wait a second, like now, we don't have any direct sunlight here. It just goes and goes a bit brighter. And as soon as I turn into the sunlight, then the exposure is being dimmed down again. And, you know, there's just all kinds of things that we can do with this and how we can use that for real-time animations. So I'm thinking, down the line at one point, we can go and build these animations that I'm trying to do with Blender right now in this scene. We can do them literally live in Unreal Engine and have like hundreds of these people walking up and down the road and drive cars and all that. So that's exciting. That's what we'll do today. We'll start with a fresh template and we'll go and rig up this character so that it walks around, or she or he walks around in our scene. We can also change her, I believe. Let me see if I can remember how to do that. That, I believe, is that how we do that? I think we double click that and we go to viewport, I think. And then we click this character and we just go and pick a different one, like the businessman in a shirt character. We hit compile and close this, and I believe then when we start playing this thing back, then we have the guy now. Look at that. Now we have, oh yeah, and then I have to click into the window so that and now we have Guy walking in the scene. That is kind of crazy, isn't it? And he jumps and he can do all these things, and it's just instant animation. That is so cool. I'm totally in love with this already, and I don't even know what I'm doing. So maybe I can share my progress with you. We do this literally from scratch, and we can also try out some other scenes and see what they look like in Unreal, just as a little, just as a little test. So yes, let's do this. I'll go and close this down. And we literally start from scratch. Save selected, yeah, I guess so. And then the second instance is also open, and I'll also close that, and I will not save anything that I've done here. Whew, let me catch up on the chat. I'm getting so excited in this thing, Dreamlab, that is exactly what I'm thinking. Why can't iRay work a little bit like that? Or why can't we have an engine like that inside Dash Studio? That'd be cool. I mean, we have with Blender, Eevee is very similar. So yeah, maybe we're getting there. Rod and Joe, of course, you're more than welcome to join us here in Florida. We can have, I can already see weekly meetings that we can have between all of us. That'd be kind of cool. And it's the opportunities that an engine like that presents. I think now I'm beginning to understand why people are so crazy about this and why they're getting so into it. But the steps to get there they're just not as simple. But I think with our 3D background, I think we have this big advantage that we know what's happening. So let me show you how to make this first person thing happen literally without any overhead. So any of you who have the Synty assets, you can, I've downloaded literally all the Polygon assets this morning. So look at that, they're not even zipped right now. This is them, and they always come with the source files and with the Windows version here. So the source files, they contain the FBXs and the textures and the OBJs and all that. And then the second file or folder that you can, or file you can download is just called whatever the title of the pack is, windows.zip. Sometimes it's also a RAR file, but that's the one that contains both the Unreal and the Unity project. And when you unzip that and you go into it, like this one here, this is the Polygon City Windows, you find another folder here. In that, you find a zip file, which is the Unreal project, and the Unity project is already ready to rock with another folder there, I believe. But unzip this, out comes yet another folder, and in that is literally everything that the Unreal Engine needs. And provided you have Unreal installed on your system, which is free, also mind-blowing, you just double-click the U project, and that will open the scene. And that's almost all you have to do. So this is now going to load the scene. I don't even have the latest version of the Unreal Engine. I think the latest is 4.24. Mine is still 4.22 because I don't really use it all that often. And this is kind of where it's still a little bit difficult to grasp what's going on here. So just briefly, on the bottom we have a content browser, which is essentially showing you all the assets that are in this project, referenced in the project. So it's not like in DAZ Studio where you have a central library and you open a new scene and you have your whole library at your disposal. That's not quite how Unreal works. You need to tell it what assets you want to make available to the project. So you import them from either from Unreal Marketplace, or you bring them in, you migrate them from another project. We'll go through migrating in a moment as well, so I can show you the third person thing. And then it has kind of a condensed version of what is available in the content browser here. This, I believe, is closed by default, so there's this little icon. As soon as you click that, you have the folder structure, and in it you have several subfolders, and it really depends on the project how these are set up, or on your own organizational tastes, I guess. So in maps, in this case, we have two. We've got the demonstration and we've got the overview. They're both fun to look at, and these are levels technically. So you can have multiple, and you can have one level where you can walk into a kind of a trigger on one level and then load another level, and that's how you have technically multiple scenes in your file. So demonstration is the scene that we have in Blender. That's technically the big FBX, and if I double click that, the level is loaded into the viewport here, and there it is. And the lighting and everything is literally, it's there like now. The loading also hasn't taken a while. There's even a little moving thing in here. Navigating the viewport is a little weird at first, I must say. So mouse wheel still scrolls, and the left mouse button, holding down the left mouse button, looks left and right and moves you forward and back. But it doesn't rotate you around the selected object. You can go to a selected object by selecting something in the scene, then hitting F. That will go there. Like, if I go to whatever, this traffic light here, and hit F, then it'll get me there. But now when I left click and drag, it doesn't actually rotate around the object in the middle. So I thought that's a little bit, it's just, I'm not used to that. Let's just say that. And that's that right mouse button. Does if you right click and drag, that looks around from your current point of view. Once again, it doesn't rotate around the object, it goes and just looks around. But what's super fascinating for me is the fact that the whole viewport is rendered at all times at the highest frame rate possible. And it's not like a preview of something that might appear after you render it. It's like that's it. That's what this thing does. It just displays it as it is. That's fascinating stuff, isn't it? So the other level here, this is the overview. If I double click that, it'll load this, and that shows you all the assets that are available as tiles. And that's kind of fun. that's fun. You can if you don't want to navigate this with the mouse, there's also keyboard navigation. So WASD will work as soon as you hit play. That's like that gets you into the game world. You have to then go and click the viewport, and then your mouse will just look around like in a first-person game, and then WASD will just go and move you. That's all the characters and their T poses and all the signs here. Q is down, E is up. Collisions are defined as well. Those are all the things. That's what the world looks like from underneath. And when you're done, you hit escape, and that's how you get out of this viewport. And then you can move your mouse again and go back to the other level if you like. And it's pre-set up, it's pre-hooked up for the game controller. So game controller is attached. I didn't really do anything. As soon as I click play, and I have to click into the viewport for this to activate, my game controller is active. That's crazy. I think that's just absolutely amazing. There's immersive view. If you want to see this whole thing in full screen, that's F11. That's a bit like what you do with a web browser if you don't want to see the browser bar. And the good thing about a game controller is you can just move it slower. So you don't have to do it like on a keyboard. Keyboard is kind of digital, it's on and off. You press a button or not, and the game controller has these super fine controls, so you can emulate these really slow, smooth camera pans, and to a certain extent literally do them live, like a live drone operator. Wouldn't that be nice, Christina? And maybe it's just a matter of time. I mean, maybe somebody's working on it already. So literally our sequence started here, I believe, and I can accelerate this as well. You can also tweak how fast you're going. Of course, you can make that faster or slower. Is this what we're doing? Oh yeah, this was where Dancing Elvis is. So let me go and go back to the beginning. I think we were here, weren't we? Yes, this is where we started. Yes, this is where we started. And we just go in over here. That was fast. We also had cars here. I'll show you something about the scene that I hadn't realized until Beefalo Bart brought this to our attention. This is the two police people. With a bit of skill, this is literally the camera pan I was trying to animate in Blender. And I'm doing this all live. That's crazy. And here's our park. I did move the sign, so the sign is not where we can end up on anymore. I moved the sign over to the left here. So I guess we'll just, stop on it right here. Very cool. Very, very cool, isn't it? Yes. And usable for still scenes as well. It doesn't have to animate, but certain things they do. So in the town square, they've got this one thing. In the other scenes, apparently there's fire that's moving and little fountains. There's snow that's falling. So in due time, we're gonna hopefully explore that and how it all works in Unreal. It's crazily addictive. Just being able to press a button and looking at your scene like that, rather than looking at a preview or whatnot. It's super satisfying to be in that scene, in the world. But hey, easy to get addicted. Mind-blowing indeed. Do you know, you're right, Steve, you're absolutely right. It's just like me as well. The first time I remember, the last time I remember being this excited about 3D was when I had just discovered DAZ Studio back in 2005 or 2006. That's when I was this excited about 3D, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And look at the possibilities and look at the stuff you could do. And there was also this huge learning curve, of course, because there's the application, but there's also the knowledge about 3D, like what's a mesh, what's a texture, what's a rig, all that, what's lighting and IBL and So with that head start, it is mind-blowing to pick up a scene like we do a stonemason scene and put it into DAZ Studio and buy content that is actually made for this thing, and it looks smashing out of the box. unbelievable. It's very, very cool, I must say. Let me show you how we can the more of the internals, or maybe it gives you a little starting point of, if you want to do this at home, if you want to try follow these steps that I'm going to explain now to get the character walking in the scene. I've written a little article. I'll put the link in the description later. Once we've, I may even refer to that if I don't quite remember how this works. I'll leave this scene. This is the Polygon city scene that we've opened. That's literally the scene that comes with the assets. I'm going to leave that open, and I'll just go and minimize the engine and go back to my launcher, to the Epic Games launcher here. Rather than library, I'll go and say Unreal Engine, and in here I'll go and launch the Unreal Engine. This is kind of slightly weird. You can of course download the latest version, but I haven't done that, so I'll just stick with this one. I don't really know what the differences are. So when you launch the Unreal Engine, it's a bit like launching Photoshop. It comes up with a little "what would you like to do today" type picker, and I'm going to pick the third-person template. It shows you the kind of the projects that I've had saved already, and I can start a new project here, and I can either use a blank scene or I can start from what they call a blueprint. And a blueprint is this thing that's like a template. It gets you started. You don't have to use them, but if we use the third-person template, this one here, then we have a camera behind the character set up, and the character can be moved and all that. But there's tons of other things, like a 2D side-scrolling thing, or like a first-person template, or like a flying object type thing. All of these work out of the box. They have a gray world and minimal assets, but you can literally start with that and say play and go and explore. It's as easy as that. So I'll go with the third-person one, and I have to give my project a name here. And I'll call it just Twitch, because that's not something I've used before, in my Unreal Projects folder. And I'll hit Create Project, and then the thing kind of goes and does its thing. I've already got Unreal Engine working in the background, but this is now like a second instance of Blender that you'd have running. This is a second instance of the whole engine, and I'll show you in a moment why that's important. Who is that face? Is that Ralph? If you are there, Ralph, of course, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is a whole other part of 3D that is just absolutely mind-blowing. Welcome, Ralph. I'm so glad you could make it. So this is my third-person project, and just like before, my game controller is still hooked up. All I need to do is hit play and click into this window, and I can either use the mouse to control and the keyboard, or I can literally just use my game controller. And there we go. F11 will maximize the viewport, so we could get the biggest and best out of it. But I mean, just appreciating what's going on here under the hood. 60 frames a second, real-time illumination, rigged character that does what I want it to do under the hood. So it moves around, it jumps, it can walk backwards and forwards, it can walk stairs, it can do, like, this is out of the box. That's marvelous. That's crazy. That is absolutely fascinating. But it's just a demo level, and assets, you can literally drag in assets. I go and click escape to go back to this mode here, and I can look around the scene like I usually do. If I had assets in here in the bottom, I can literally just go and left click and drag them in and place them there. On the right, we'll see the properties. So if I click the camera, I can see the properties for the camera. I can also, it gives you an insight of what the camera sees. That's kind of nice. This here on the left, that's a player start. So wherever I move that, this is where the game begins for the player. If you don't have that, you just drop in wherever you're looking at in the scene. It's very cool. Of course he has that. It's free as well. That's the other amazing thing. There's some getting started assets. that are free, like from the Epic Citadel, all these assets. There was a game that they made before Fortnite. Those assets are worth several $millions. They decided to make them free as well. But this project doesn't have any assets in it right now. So it has the mannequin and it's got some other explorable bits. These are primitives here, like light objects and all kinds of other geometric objects that you can drag in, like curved stairs. So you can just literally drag that in and position that, and yeah, that's how you add assets. But they could be complex as well. So it could be like a roaring fire, like a lantern that's like made up of several items, and it has a glowing fire at the top and illumination. That could be one object you just drag in. Don't know how to get rid of it. Maybe it's delete. Yes, it is delete. Excellent. But other than that, I don't have any assets in here. So if I had another project like my Polygon City scene and I would like to use those assets in my project, then there is really only one way, as I understand it, to bring them in. It's not about copying files. You have to have that second instance of Unreal running like we have right now. I'll go minimize this, go back to my other project here, which is the Polygon City scene, and I'll go and click on the top level of my folder here, so just Polygon City here, and to bring all these assets into my other running project, or it doesn't have to be running, it can be closed as well. You right click and you hit migrate, and that means migrate from this running project into the other one, and that's the best and safest way to do it. And when you do that, it gives you an overview of all the files that are being copied. Feel free to review. They're like 1,000 or so, and you click OK. And now you have to find where your other Unreal project lives on your computer. So I believe mine is in Documents in Unreal Projects, and I called it Twitch. That's this one here, and in it already has a few folders, so mine needs to go into the content folder. That's where all the content lives. So the other ones, they are kind of game state bits and bobs and stuff we don't understand really, but content we do understand. So double click that and leave all that alone and just select that folder, and now Unreal is copying everything from this project into the other project. Content migration completed successfully. That's awesome. And now I don't need this instance anymore, so now I can close this. But my other instance is still open somewhere. There it is. And now I can see I've got Polygon City here with all its assets that it had in the previous project. So that's good. There we go. So now, just like before, I can open this and go under Maps and load up the demonstration map again, just like we did with the first person template. So I double click that. That's another level that just opens. It's just stored in a different folder. Save content. Yeah, I guess. Well, let's go save selected. That's just because I made some changes there. And now I see my scene again, which is great. This is exactly the scene I had before. But now the difference is that if I go and hit play, my 3D mannequin gray guy, Unreal guy, he's going to just drop in wherever I'm looking right now because I don't have a player start in this. So I do that, takes a second, and there he is, falls right into the thing. I'll go click the window, hit F11, and move the cursor out of the way, and now I can walk around the scene as this guy. It's incredible. Yeah, exposure doesn't react. I mean, there's always things you can change here, but in principle, that's how this guy runs around our scene now, which is cool. No way. That's crazy. Dreamlab, I'm so sorry about that. Do you know why that may be? Do you know what? I think it may be because let's go and add you to as a regular viewer. Guess that falls under channel housekeeping, right? Let's go and do that. The bot sometimes just goes overboard with things. Let's see what we actually did there. Did you say something in capitals? I don't remember. Cloud bot. There's caps protection and word protection. And you see, and the blacklist, so restrict words from appearing on chat and add words to your blacklist. We don't know what the blacklist actually is. You know, default blacklist. I mean, what's on the default blacklist? We're not going to find out. So, and send punishment message. Crazy. But I'm going to add you to a regular now. And that is DreamLab_studio. And make you a regular. I've spelled that correctly, right? Perfect. Try typing something with 5 capital letters, like hurrah. That should hopefully not get you banned again. Great. So it looks like you're exempt from further punishment. Could it be that assets was what the thing detected? Was that it? Assets? Bad word. That's crazy. Bot. Reprimanding the bot. Can you imagine? Make Streamlabs no longer the moderator here. Crazy. I do apologize for the over-eagerness of my bot. My bot is just too eager. He doesn't know. No. Poor little guy. So I think one thing I'll go and just add to the scene, and I don't remember where that is a player start, so that we just go and start from a position like the police station here. If only I knew how to go there. That navigation seriously is new to me. So we'll put the player start here. There are so many classes that you can put in here, and I don't remember where that is. It's got to be under P, I guess. You can also search for it. There's player start. So you can just go search for something. If you know what it's called, you can search for it, and you could go and drag this into here. Drag this into here. There we go. That's the player start. There we go. Little icon here. So now, no matter where I'm positioned, my player is always going to start there. But it's always going to be Unreal Guy. So as soon as I hit play, he's going to start here, but it's Unreal Guy. And I'd like to use one of my Synty characters that comes with the scene. So let's see how we can make that happen. That's a slightly complicated process, and I've only learned about this a few hours ago, so bear with me here. Maybe I can remember it. There's also the organizational aspect. So nothing is in a folder right now. This is all just much like in Blender. Everything is not in a collection, but you can, or it's in a default collection rather, but you can make other folders here. They call it folders rather than collections, and you can move things around. So that is possible. 4,600 actors. Very cool. About that, very good, yes. Well, Rod has recently opened a Discord server, and the first thing he did was to put a bot in there. And I believe Me6, that's the bot, isn't it? That also integrates with Twitch somehow. That's a very interesting way of greeting people. I really like the way that happens. So keep me posted on how difficult that was. Let's see if I can remember what we need to do first. I believe there's mannequin and character and mesh. So this is our mannequin here that we need to get started with, the Unreal Mannequin skeleton. And if I open one of these guys, if I double click it, then it'll open something like a context, like a different tab at the top here. Currently we only have one, but if I double click this guy here on UE4 mannequin skeleton, if I go and open him up, then another kind of room opens up, and I can make changes here. As soon as I close it, it'll go away back to this wall, to my level here. So that's something to keep in mind. So if I go and do that, and Unreal Engine now looks completely different, that's why. And if I go, I'll need to, I believe, open the retarget manager. No, that's already open here. Sometimes this isn't open and only this shows. That's like the whole skeleton of this guy now. I'll go and click on the retarget manager. That opens up another tab here. We need that one. Because we need to change his pose. So this guy is an A pose and the Synty characters are all in a T pose. So in order for both skeletons to kind of overlay one another and for Unreal Engine to work out how to add the whole rigging from this guy over to the other guys, which are not rigged the same way, it'll need to be at least in the approximate same position. So we need to just turn him into the T pose. And so we can click on parts of his body. It's like this guy here, we're going to need to put the arm upwards by 50. I'll do that with both arms here so that I don't forget in the heat of the moment. Then the lower arm needs to be lowered by 10. I'll do that here as well. And then the hand needs to be kind of twisted up just a tiny amount. And I think that's all we need to do if I remember this correctly. I also need to select the fact that this is a humanoid rig and nothing else. And that, I believe, is all I need to do here. I go and say modify pose, use current pose, I think, and then we're done. We can close this. So that's our UE4 mannequin now in the T pose. That's important. I don't quite remember what comes next, so let me go consult my notes here. I might actually drop the article into the chat now before I forget, just in case I forget that. I'll just say here are my case notes on this project. That's vague, isn't it? Good stuff. So once we do that, and the migration, and that, right, now we need to open a Synty character, of course. That makes perfect sense. So that's no longer in the mannequin folder. That's in the Polygon City folder. I believe also in meshes and characters. And so these are all the characters here that are rigged. Some of them are just the physics asset, and some of them are the actual the rigged meshes, the FBXs in if you will, that we brought into Blender. So there's one that's different to all the others, which is the blue guy here, and that's just the skeleton. So where these guys are the actual rigged people that we need to modify, we need to have a look at that skeleton thing first. And I believe we go and do that with, I'm going to rename that actually so that it's a little bit easier for me to remember. I'm going to call that one sk_polygon. Just so that it's a little bit easier and stands out, doesn't have that big of a long name there. And then I believe we need to retarget our other characters. So we need to pick one of these guys or many of these guys. I think I might actually select all of these now. These steps are actually by Beefalo Bart. He has a whole series on how to build a little shooter game with these assets. I might have that open still somewhere. Yes, there we go. So this is I followed this tutorial here on YouTube. Beefalo Bart has a video on this process here. And those are the steps I'm more or less following here. And those are the steps I've documented here so I can remember. So these guys, with these guys selected, I believe I right click on them and select skeleton, assign skeleton. And I need to assign the skeleton that I've just renamed here. That's the one that's now sticking out, SK Polygon. I'll just go keep doing that for every character. And I'm doing this for multiple characters so that we can easily choose another one. So if we're not happy with the police woman, we can choose the policeman or the guy in a shirt or woman in a dress, that sort of thing. Auto saving out of date packages, that's good. That's good. That's done that. So now comes a step that I'm a little bit fuzzy about as to why we need to do that. But maybe it'll make sense while I'm doing it for the 5th time today. I'm going into the blueprint of my actual character here, this guy. So this is the actual object that plays the player character, and that's currently set to the animation and the look of the Unreal guy, of the gray guy. And so I believe I need to, what do I need to do here? Oh yeah, I just need to make a copy of this name here, I believe. No, that's not correct. I need to go into, different folder here. I think I need to be in mannequin animations. There we go. This is, I just need to make a copy of this name here because I need to replace it with something else. So I can go and hit F2 and just copy that whole name out of here. And then on this thing, I can go and say retarget anim blueprints, duplicate anim blueprints and retarget, which is crazy, I know. But here comes my SK Polygon skeleton that now looks like the guy in a suit, which is nice. And I need to replace whatever the animation thing, the third person anim BP was called. And I'm going to replace that with Polygon anim, or Polygon ABP. It's like, that's short for animation blueprint. Let's make sure we spell that correctly. And I believe the folder, he changed the folder, so I might do that as well. I'll just go and put that also into animations here. And I believe then I hit retarget, I think. And that now somehow does something that's important for the next step, which is us actually selecting the Synty character for running around purposes. And I believe that happens in blueprints, and that happens on the third person character. When we double click that, this scary window opens, and we want to be not in the event graph, we want to be in the viewport of this. And here we see cameras behind us, or behind our player object. We see the breathing gray character here, which is great. So now we need to go and select this character, because that will have an impact on the things that are being shown here on the context menu. Select this guy so that he has an orange outline, and change him from the SK mannequin here to any of our other characters. So like maybe female police officer, or female with a jacket, or male with a hoodie. Oh, that's the same one, sorry. Businesswoman. Maybe we should businesswoman, let's do that. But so we've changed the mesh, but we haven't changed the animation that's on her. So she's now static. If I now go and compile this and run this again, it'll just be like a static T-pose character floating around the scene. So not what we want. So then in the animation tab here, I can choose the animation class, which is set to none, and set that to what I've just renamed there in my little renaming dialog there, and that's Polygon ABP. So that's what I've just said. So if I go and select that, we have breathing woman standing there in in an animated position, and that's the trick to it. I have to go and compile this object now. Apparently it's dirty, it needs to be compiled. Let's do that, and then go and save is probably not necessary, get out of here and hit play. And that should now bring a businesswoman into the scene. And now we can walk around with her. Haha, success. And she moves subtly. And of course, then you can go to town and bring mixer more animations into this and change your walk cycles depending on what character you're using. Essentially exactly what you see on Fortnite, depending on, or on the Lego game or something, depending on which character you pick, they all walk a little bit different. And you can change the jump animations. You know, they don't have to be as high as this. Those are just the default things that come with Unreal. But that's essentially how we do that. Indeed, indeed, that's exactly right, Dreamlab. That's exactly how it works. So the animation itself, the whole walk cycle, the jump cycle, is still the same as on the original Unreal character, and the skeleton of the Unreal character was different than it is on the Synty characters. That's another big secret. So usually, if you were to try to do that on in a regular 3D program, that just wouldn't work. You know, you try to apply a pose from whatever Genesis 1 to Genesis 8, it just doesn't work, because the skeleton bones are called different things. There may even be different amount of bones in the whole skeletal structure. So Unreal, if I understand this correctly, Unreal can look at the shape of the two characters, like the source and the target skeleton, and then just go and do some magic reshuffling in the background and kind of come up with something that works. So there's both skeletal retargeting and animation retargeting. Mind-blowing stuff that I don't know anything about, but that's in principle, that's how it works. I suppose there in this menu in which I said this skeleton is a humanoid character, I could pick that, but I would imagine you could also have like a quadped type character. So once you've rigged a dog, maybe you can apply that to a bear, that sort of thing. So that doesn't come in the, that's not here right now, but I would imagine add-ons are available to that effect. And hello, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us in this little experimental session. I believe so, Dreamlab. Yes, I believe so. So that's really all I know so far, which is a lot to get us started. And I was thinking we could try another scene. So I haven't looked at the sci-fi scene. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to make a quick adjustment here, and that's the exposure. Let's make two adjustments. Let's go and get out of here. First, we can go back into this third-person character and go back into the viewport, select her, and then pick a different character, like a female with a jacket. Could do female with a jacket. She still has the animation, so all I need to do is recompile and see if it works without saving, and then just go back into play, and there she is. This is now a different character, but the same animations are still working, so that's kind of cool. And I suppose because it comes with different textures, you can also go and change those out. So you could have a brunette woman with a green jacket or something. Woo! Let's get some cash out of the ATM. So there we go. Let's have a look at the sci-fi scene. I'd love to see what the sci-fi scene looks like, and we don't have to put a character in, but just have a look at it and see what these scenes look like. That's what I'd like to spend the afternoon on. I did actually tell you something about part 2. I did not forget about that. There are, if you see on the slide's a bit bright, isn't it? There we go. A little bit better. If I'm going to this scene above me, there's this empty space that's kind of a portrait type space, and I would love it if we could make a little animation or several animations of characters moving, dancing, walking, something like that could just appear there every once in a while. I would really like that. And then also above the supporters, I have the static word supporters with a little bit of a bigger space there. I'm thinking of animating just the word supporters that just goes through from left to right and have that on a loop. So I'd like to do something like that as well. Maybe we can do that too. Let's see where the energy will get us. And this is super exciting, and but you know, a bit of housekeeping might be worth it as well. So let me go and get out of here and close the scene and save selected, and go and unpack some of the other polygon scenes and file them away into a folder that I can remember, not just my regular downloads folder. That might just be a bit, might be a bit, it doesn't do it justice. I don't actually know how to organize my assets, to be really, really blunt here. Perhaps I'm going to go and put all of these things into their own folder. It's not Mac, is it? On Mac, I can just go and right click and say, put all of that into a new folder, but that doesn't work on Windows, does it? No, I have to do this, create a new folder first, lose my selection in the process. Is there even create new folder, something like that? Man, they don't make it easy, do they? I need to click on a white space here. That's the only way to do it. Man. Control-Shift-N. Ah, thank you, thank you. I'll try that immediately. Control-Shift-N. That's a bit like Command-N on Mac. That's what Mac does. Ah, Control-Shift-N. Thank you for the tip. I'll just call all of these Polygon assets, get rid of that, and put all that in here. And then put the ones that I've already extracted also in here. So Adventure Pack, let's extract that. Can I extract all of these? Can I do that? Does Windows do that? Extract all, or does it just do one at a time? Goes to show how little I actually know about Windows under the hood. What have you done? Where have you put it? Windows. That's terrible. Maybe I'll do them one by one. Right, I'm not sure if I have WinRAR. I've got 7-zip. That might work. Let me go try 7-zip. There's one RAR file in this whole thing. Let's try see if 7-zip can extract here. Is that cool? Yeah, let's go extract here. That might work. It is working hard. It looks like it's doing... I will just go and say yes to all. That might be a good idea. Ooh, Trip 5050. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. That was a YouTube subscription, I believe. Thank you. He might not be watching us. I still know that you did it, so thank you. So it looks like the bulk extraction has worked, but it didn't go into that folder that I thought it would go into. It also, oh no, it did. It did. That's good. It did. Some of those are now just called source files, so I don't know what they belong to. We're gonna have to figure that out. I'm gonna go and make a new folder here. Actually, I'm gonna use my shortcut now because I know it exists. Control-Shift-N. Haha. I'll call them just zip files, so just in case I need to go back to them. Zip files. So some are just out in the open here, so I don't really know what to make of those. Bad guy gunman, I don't know what set that is for now. Let's worry about the ones that we do know, like the adventure pack. Oh no, let's start with the SciFi City. Let's start with SciFi City. You know, yes. Right, that might be. What was the RAR file? Do we remember? The RAR file was, of course, SciFi City. It's the one that we do want to use, isn't it? I think I'm going to go and delete all of these because I don't know what they are, and we will be able to go and bring it back if it's not what we're expecting. Like these ones as well. It's probably the adventure pack. The Unreal project in the adventure pack still there, and SciFi City also has the Unreal project here. That's perfect. So let's start with that. I'm going to go and extract that into this folder here. And then we'll see what SciFi City looks like. There's one other step in Unreal, and that is the shader compilation. So when you open a thing for the first time and it hasn't had a chance to look at the whole thing yet, then it takes a moment for all the shaders for all the shaders to be compiled. You like 7-zip? Right. I do have that, don't I? It's the beta versus VHS discussion, only for that's very funny. So we can go into SciFi City Unreal Project, SciFi City, and there it is, SciFi City Unreal Project. So I believe all I do is double click that. It asks me which Unreal version would I like to open. So this is one other intricacy about Unreal. You don't ever upgrade the engine. You can install future versions and past versions next to the current version, but you don't ever override files. I think that's a great design choice. It's a bit like Blender. If you do the zip installation, you just install Blender in a different folder, but your previous Blender installation is untouched. So if you want to go back to that, no problem at all. And that's how Unreal works as well. I was very confused about this when I looked into this last year, and I thought, where's the upgrade button? I can't find the upgrade button. It's because there is none. You can install a second version next to it, and you can have as many versions as you like. And then once you're happy that the latest version works with your project, you can then go and delete previous versions to save some space, because the default installation is about 50 gigabytes or so of the Unreal Engine. But hey, there we go. So, black scene, nothing to be afraid of. Also, if you don't see the folder structure here on the left when you open this, that's just this little icon here, show or hide source panel. And then this whole, I kind of like folders displayed this way, and you can just make it bigger or smaller, depends on what you like. I'll go into maps, and there's the demonstration map down here. So we'll double click that, and moment now, because it's the first time I'm loading this, so it'll load this in, and then it'll go and say I'm compiling shaders and all that. So it's busy behind the scenes, but subsequent load processes will be faster. Compiling shaders, there you go, on the bottom right. 1,200 of them. So the scene will look a little bit better in a moment, hopefully. $1,900 objects or actors. Look at that, glow maps are being applied. They're animating even. Brian, this is exciting. Look at that, the cat thing, that's animating. Woohoo! Because we don't mind shader compilations when they're necessary, but not before every render. Look at that, flashy background skyscraper things. That must be the glow map that you were talking about, right, Brian? Yes, Hello Kitty, yeah. And I believe what we're drinking here is Sin Cola. Like it, like it. Nearly done. Maybe it wasn't actually this light that was so bright. I think it was the other light, wasn't it? Yes, it's this light. Let's make that a bit dimmer too. Maybe that's too dim now. It is all a spooky sci-fi type scene, so look at that, and bit by bit the whole scene comes together. It's almost fascinating to watch just the loading process. I believe we're done. Let's give this a test ride, shall we? So play, then click the viewport so that you're in it, and escape will get you out of that again. So play, then click the viewport, then hit F11 to go full screen. And depending on if you're using mouse or keyboard, welcome to SciFi City. So they have set up the lighting for this as well. Robotic limb replacement, recharge center. Ah. This is just like a cartoony version of a stonemason scene, isn't it? Cash machines of the future. Oh, we can walk through here. That's nice. Digital implants. Good. We could use some of those. Like more brain cells. Upgrade RAM. Fresh adult Zup. Only 8.23. Deep fried street jerky. VR booth. Yes. It's just like a phone box, isn't it? Phone booth. Woo! Joe, thank you so much for your wonderful subscription. I appreciate that. That is so nice of you. Very exciting. Super happy to have you on board. Oh, we can't go here. This is like, end of the world. So not only are these things, not only is there a glow map, this actually animates. That is unbelievable. Oh, and also notice the fog. There's dynamic fog in here. As I move further away from something, it appears foggy. And I guess there's a planet in the background. Flat Earth kind of being attracted by the planet. Man, we can have so much fun with this. I would imagine Unreal Engine has a way to do keyframe animations and some way to export animations into video files. Or, I mean, if all else fails, I'll just do screen record of whatever it plays. Fantastic. SciFi City. Oh, electric equipment we can play with. So nice. Mind-blowing, isn't it? Shall we have a look at a different scene? Just see what else is in this whole pack. Notice also that you have hover cars as well as cars on the ground. And motorbikes. This whole scene is available for less than the price of the video game that it would cost to buy the game. Crazy stuff. So they're all between $20 and $50 on the Synty store. I believe there are others that are more expensive. They are larger, but there's also sets for $10. So very exciting. F11 brings you back into this viewport. Phenomenal. I'll just go close this and pick a different project. So that was the SciFi City. Which one would you like to use? Would you like to try that? Next, there's the Adventure City. We already know. There's Knights, Prototype. That's just that might also be fun. Samurai, Vikings, or Western. I will leave it up to you. Saba83, welcome. We're just exploring some exciting Synty Studio assets in Unreal Engine. What do you prefer? Adventure set, Knights, Prototype, Samurai, Vikings, or Western? That's seven more that we can have a look at. That's crazy. Vikings. Steve is first with Vikings. That'll fit right in with the guy that you've built there recently. What's his name again? Vladek? No, Vlad. It's Blav, something with B. He looked very good. I'm glad you shared him. Very nice. Rod Shelley, thank you so much for your subscription. That is exciting, my friends. Thank you so much. Woo! I love having you on board. That is really, really cool. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Blaverk, that's the one. Vikings. Let's go and open this in 4.22. Also, yeah, if I had multiple versions installed, I can pick the one that I'd like to use to open this asset now. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and with the only one that I have installed. I believe these assets were made for 4.14. So the current version of Unreal Engine is 4.24. 4.25 is already available as a preview. Simple Apocalypse. Yes, I didn't download the simple sets, so that's something else we can have a look at. I think the reason why I didn't do that is because they don't come with Unreal versions. They only come with Unity versions, and I don't know much about Unity. So we have 3 maps here. We have Advanced Lighting, Minimal Default, and Starter Map. Perhaps we'll go Advanced, shall we? Let's do Advanced. See what happens. What could go wrong? Oh. Advanced lighting, is it? Let's try starter map instead. Oh. Interesting. So we see the materials as a preview. That's exciting. Oh, what happened now? Oh my goodness, Saba, I'm so sorry. What did you say? I'm so sorry that my bot was a bit harsh there. Oh, Blavik is featured in TNA. That's exciting. So that wasn't a good map either to get started. Let's try with minimal default. That's this. Where the Vikings? And maybe I'm in the wrong folder here. There we go. I'm in the wrong folder. Demonstration. Let's do that instead. Compiling shaders. Okay. Just another second here. Oh, what's the word asset again? Man, I wish, tell you what, while this is compiling shaders, let's go and add that to the whitelist. Let's go and do that. I'm so sorry about the Saba. That's, you know, my bot is, I'm new to this whole bot thing. If we go to word protection, let's go and put a whitelist. Oh, is this the blacklist? Add word phrase. Well, where's my whitelist then? Because, you know, twist, that was just a thing we can just go and... Where's the whitelist? Streamlabs. It's got to be in word protection, right? Because that's the one that's currently active. And there's a blacklist. Oh yeah, and subscribers are of course permitted to do these things as well. User management, but user management only gives me, that's users. I wonder what's modules, is that it? No, heist mini game, my goodness. Commands, timers, quotes, queue, loyalty, store. Huh. Whitelist is not here. I think I know it on the standalone version. I thought there was a whitelist command. I might make that up. I might be making that up. crazy. We need to look into that. And hopefully by next time we will have worked it out. Ooh. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yes, of course. Yeah, sorry, I did. My mind was elsewhere. I will add Saba 83 as a regular. That's a good idea. Saba 83. Bing. There we go. Okay, Saba, you can now use the word assets when we refer to the Viking assets. One day we'll have this with words as well. We say words and our audio is muted when we say certain things. It'll come. There's also the water. Look at the water. That is exciting. That is super exciting. Play and F11 will get us looking at the water. Look at that. There's ships as well. Viking boats. I wonder if I can go to that little fortification over there. And we do certainly have snow. Notice also, just looking at scenes like this, that doesn't mean... So there's a background compilation of all these things, I believe that's happening, but they're not optimized as such. So if you were to build this as a redistributable thing that I could give you and you were to play it at home, that is possible. And then I believe the performance would be a little bit better because the Unreal Engine as an overhead isn't in here. Fire! Yeah, we need to work on that because as we talk about assets, this is a word that'll just get used more often. We could do that, or we have to, I don't know if the only other option is to switch off the default blacklist so that we use our own blacklist. Notice that it's only snowing here and not anywhere else. Yeah, Ragnar, I wonder if he's part of the assets. Oops, that's a bad word again. Yes. Nice little Viking village. Blaverk would fit right in here. Do you know, even just as a, I mean, you know, there's animations is one thing, but it's just a nice scene. I mean, look at this as just as a still scene. That as a simple background, that's not too shabby, is it? And put your character in front of it. Might even blur the rest of it a bit. Especially for something that you're just trying out. If you think, well, background, I could spend several hours doing that, or I could just click a button. That's just good. Maybe, Joe, the cool thing is that we have this in combination, that we have a bit of snow and a bit of fire. I bet you could make it that if a snow particle hits a fire, it just goes pfft. The Megascan library. Oh man, I've heard of Megascan. That's Quixel, right? Is that Quixel? It's another one of those things on my long to-do list. Oh my goodness. It's, you know, moments like these, I've just discovered how this works this morning, by the way. And moments like these really make me remember why I'm into 3D in the first place. It's because of that excitement. That's what it's all about. Yeah. I wonder what these little arrows are here. We'll find out. Let's have a look at another scene. So we had the Vikings. So left are Western, Samurai, Prototype, Knights, and Adventure. Any takers? Indeed, Saba, I've heard of that. Megascans is free for Unreal. It's kind of a... this is we need to get on board with this whole Unreal thing. We need to understand more about it. It looks very welcoming. It's very highly complex, but for something that could also be a grayed out, just a coding interface for the amount of stuff that's happening there in the background. It's a very welcoming interface, I must say. Saba says prototype. Let's do prototype. I've seen that as a screenshot, and it's funny. It's funny. I wonder if they have something like a scene that we can actually explore. That is so nice of you to say, Joe. Thank you so much. That is so super nice. Steve, does that have an impact, really? I didn't know that would have an impact if you link your account. And then would you only be able to use the Megascans only with Unreal and not with anything else? What is Megascans? Clear me up here. Treat me like a 3-year-old. I only know it's Quixel related, and it's 3D related, but that's really where my knowledge ends. What does it do? Demonstration. All right, so it's not. So Megascans is not, because what I know about Quixel is that Quixel and Substance were kind of doing more or less the same thing, and you had to decide you go with these guys or you go with that guy, with those guys. Ah, okay, right, right. Oh, and that's free? How does anyone make any money these days? Well, I suppose game revenue. That's where it all begins, isn't it? Right. And if you were to link your account to Steve, if you were to link your account, your Megascans account to the Unreal, then you can only use it for free in Unreal and not in other applications. When are we going to find the time to explore all this, huh? Let's go into the friendly world of the prototypes. That is super fun already. I'd love to build a game or something like a project with that. It's perfect for the battle royale thing. Evil guy thinks you might be the evil guy. He comes up with a question mark, and then he starts shooting you. These are really nice assets to use in place of just gray cubes, and just block out your levels with this and then play it and see what you think of it. That's what this is made for. What's she lost? Are those her eyebrows? What's a banana? Why does she have a banana hanging? Oh no, that's her hair. Right. Sometimes I don't get things, you know. And there's a chest for power-ups. Various little poses. That also comes in handy. And look, there are actually bananas in here. This is already a super cool thumbnail for this video. Just maybe this guy with a big question mark above his head. Yes. Does it animate? No, I thought it animated for a second there. Maze start. So funny. See if we can play it. Okay, we go through here. Pick up the balloon. No, that was the wrong way. See if we can. Oh, there we go. She's running in already. Phenomenal, man. Yeah, you see, I think this is a super clever, it's just a super clever way of making money as well. Hey, use it for free, use the engine, use everything. As soon as you start selling copies, then we all make money. And that's just a wonderful way of working. It's just, I think that's the way to go. And I think also that'll make the the most amount of creativity come out because people will do it for passion because they can. So things that are built with passion that happen to be commercially successful, everybody wins. Stuff that are made just purely for financial gains might then not work out. I like the idea. Prototypes. Let's see what else we can do. Prototypes. I can already see it. We're not going to do any channel maintenance. We might have to do that next week instead. So we have left adventure. I'll go and unpack that quickly while we talk about if we wanted to use it. Adventure and samurai spring to mind. Any takers for either of these particular things? Here's samurai. Yeah, I mean, Steve, the thing is, absolutely, if that works for you and a not connected account, I mean, you do use way more than the Unreal Engine right now. Your pipeline is rather large, so yeah, it's important to just for that to really work, isn't it? And Western, look at that, that's Western. Let's go extract Western as well. Ponytail on the goat, right? Yes. I didn't even get that when I was looking at it. It looked just like a head in the water with a banana next to it, so it was actually a ponytail. Let's have a look at Western. See what we can do in the Wild West. We haven't even, oh yeah, I'll do in this scene. I forgot to look at the other scene. There's always two scenes with this. There's like a prototype built scene that showcases something resembling a level, but there's also the overview, which shows you all the assets that are there. Yeah, like demonstration and overview. We didn't look at the overview last time. What the flavor of this thing looks like. Could be big. Sci-Fi City was amazing with the animated glowing lights there. Ooh. Saba, if you know a little bit more about Unreal Engine, which I don't, I do like the look of this, by the way, just the flavor of this without the shaders being loaded. I like all this fog going on there. Saba, is it possible to make something akin to keyframe animations in Unreal, that you essentially keyframe a camera and then render out a video, that sort of thing? Is that possible? Or render out an image sequence? Doesn't matter if it's a video or image sequence. Just wondered about the logistics of it. Ah, is it? Excellent. I thought it must be, because you see animatics in video games all the time and they look like real-time rendered assets just with a properly keyframed camera there. So it must be possible. Perhaps even now that I look at it, perhaps it's display a list of matinee and level sequence objects to open in their respective editors. Maybe this is what that's used for. So much to explore. My brain is just going, which is also fun, I must say. It's a lot of fun. So look at this. Now we're in the Wild West. And of course you can go ahead and combine these assets into something like a game that you have one level playing here and the other level playing there. I believe there's a bank heist pack as well that came with this bundle. Oh, I'd love to see that. Keep us posted, Saba. Drop a link to your channel or to your website in the chat. Oh, actually, you might. Yeah, no, I think you may be able to do that because you're a regular now, and that means I think you have the bot's permission to post links. The Grand Hotel. Look at that. We can even go and peek inside. Huh. It's more like a bunk, isn't it? Or it's the suite. I love how the engine reacts to light changes. So it's a good example of us coming out of the room, going back out, and then the exposure is just being adjusted there. I even know the object that does it. That's very good. You can just literally point your camera and go, that's a render, and you go, yeah, that's a render, that's a render. You usually have to set up your cameras and really meticulously do this, and then have it render for 20 minutes. And Wanted, this guy. I think we've seen him before, haven't we? Let's have a look at that other scene that comes with it, just to get an overview of what the overview looks like. So those are all the little assets that you can use to put your own scenes together, including these animated little things. That's very cool. Compiling shaders. Yeah, I've heard that when you make some changes to your lighting, sometimes you have to do that manually. So otherwise it uses the cached shaders. Sometimes you just have to recompile them if you do make changes. Black column of smoke, just like we've seen it in Lost. Oh yeah, and then also that's another thing, I haven't actually shown you this. These things would be available in the content browser, and you can just literally go and drag an open sack and a closed sack into your scene wherever you like them. And then you can give them a position on the game world. There's snapping, there's all kinds of things. Aha. What do you say? Let's look at one more scene, and I think then we'll call it a day for today, because as exciting as this is, it is also draining on my brain, I must say. I'm just so glad that I got a hold of this this asset pack, this whole bundle there when it was on sale on the Humble Bundle. Let's do Samurai, perhaps. Samurai or Adventure, what do you think? Ah, thank you for sharing, Saba. I'll have a look at this. Oh, wow, okay. That's Unreal? That's crazy, man. That is real time? You can do that in real time? Very cool. Actually, I think I can show it on here, can't I? Let's see if I can go and do this and go copy. Let me just show this full screen so that we all see this at the same time. in large. There we go. That is real time. That is crazy, man. Especially if you just look at it briefly, you'd think that's a photograph. That's not a render, that's a photograph. I love it when that happens, when you have to look once or twice. Like Zinkau is another one who makes portraits with Das Studio. He's a favorite of mine as well. He's just, it's unbelievable. You really have to check once or twice, is this really a render? And then you can maybe detect, well, it's a Genesis model, and you can maybe detect it's just because you've seen that face before, and you think, it can't be a photo, it can't be a photo. That is very, very cool. Oh, you've got another one. Excellent. Let's have a look at that. And this is also with Unreal, is it? Or is this with a different engine? Because I don't really know how Unreal works in that respect. If you can have something that doesn't have a higher frame rate but has a really good resolution as a stills image, like I don't know, an 8K render or something like that. Oh, they're both from Blender. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were both from Unreal. Okay. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm easily confused. I'll go and have a look at the Samurai pack. Right. So you're using that. So Eevee, basically, those are Eevee renders. Map demonstration. Bring on the Samurai. Ah, let's see those shaders being compiled. I think the largest one so far was the SciFi City in regards to shader compilation. Does this come with characters as well? It might be. No, I think maybe the characters you have to buy yourself. I mean, no, actually there are characters here. No, there are characters. They're just not, I can't find them here. So sometimes they're just lined up here. So it does come with Samurai character little people here as well. Well, let's see what's happening in the land of the samurai. These things I already like, these little things that you go and put together, a little fire that has fire or ash particles or steam particles, whatever you want to call them. It's just very cute to have scenes like that. Oh, the white particles aren't actually from the fire, they're from the cherry blossom trees. Like in Firewatch, we had a tree that did that, just in higher resolution, I suppose. Me too, Christina. Me too. It is just, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I can't believe it. It's just. And I must say, I really like the style, this whole low poly thing, that this whole has a cohesive handwriting. I'll see if I can try to compile this in a way that is shareable. So I can hook up a little character that walks around, and then I'll see if I can compile this and share it on our Discord. and then you should be able to literally just go double click and have a look at it and explore these levels yourself. It's so funny, isn't it? We're all just glued to the screen and we're thinking, this is unbelievable. The stuff we'll be able to make with this is just, I think it's, I mean, if there's one thing that really that this tells me is that we need to look into Unreal. I will tell you, I will tell you. I will actually put a link to the, I've been explaining things in the stream about how to what is this? That's crazy. I've documented some of my journey in regards to how to not just how to load these scenes, but also then how to add a character, a movable, playable character into the scene that also comes from this asset pack. That isn't just the Unreal guy, but that's like the one of the characters that comes with it. I've documented that here. And in that article, there is also, if I could spell correctly, there's also a link to the asset store where you can buy these assets for very little money. So Brian and Chris and I are the proud owners of all these assets, not all of them on the website, but there was this sale on that was the Polygon, Best of Polygon bundle on Humble Bundle, and that is what we bought. Steve wanted to buy it, and I still feel so sorry that you couldn't get access, because it was just so such a short sale by the time I discovered it. But these assets are available individually for anywhere between $10 and $50. They're usually around 20. Oh, is Ralph still there? Cyber, you're also from Germany. How exciting. Guten Abend, sage ich. Das freut mich ja sehr. It's quite a German congregation over here. Woo! Ist das so? Das wusste ich gar nicht. Do you know, sometimes I play video games just with the purpose of looking around. I remember buying Control just for this purpose, that I could just look around and then look at what they've done there with real-time rendering. I didn't know it was going to be that fun to just do that with these scenes. And for a while there, I've been thinking, I would really like something that lets me just look at the scenery and do essentially photo mode without having to shoot people in the process. So it looks like we found it. Koblenz, how far is that away from you, Christina? So we are a truly, truly global audience. Yeah, I see. Ralph, I'm so glad you could all join me. So, do I get this right? Es gibt genauso viele deutsch sprechende Leute im Chat gerade, wie es englisch sprechende Leute gibt. Das ist spannend. 50% Deutschland im Chat. Das ist spannend. Oh dear. Let's look at the last asset pack. I was going to go call it a day, but since we're all so glued to the visuals, let's not do that, shall we? Let's go and have a look at the final asset pack, which I've downloaded here. And that is, or do we have two more? There's the adventure pack, and there's Knights. There's two more that we can have a look at. Adventure or Knights first? I'll leave it up to you. Meine Freunde aus Deutschland, was sollen wir nehmen? Adventure Pack oder Knights? Do you know, Brian, that is exactly what I thought. Now I know why he keeps banging on about Unreal this, Unreal that, and I'm thinking, dude, I just don't have the headspace for it. Leave me alone with Unreal. And now I know. Now I know. We go for Knight. We go for the Knights pack. Oh, let's go and extract that. I thought I had done that already. I guess I haven't. Ralph is already on your laptop, Christina, downloading Unreal Engine right now. Two for Knights. Blaverk fits right in here. Polygon Knights. While this is doing that, let's just go have a quick look at the Synty store. This looks super exciting as well, the Office pack. 35 bucks right now. I've looked at this yesterday, and there's an animated trailer here as well, but if you look at all the little knickknacks and the little scenes they've built with that, that is just so super cute. The office party, the Christmas jumper. I wonder where the poses come from in this. I wonder if it's coming with poses, or if those are things you have to manually apply, where you get general poses from for these types of characters. I wonder. Like on the DAS store, you'd go and buy a pose pack, you know, or this set alone, this vignette alone comes with certain poses. Something spilled. She's looking at the fish tank. Ah, job interview. The funniest one was, I think we've seen that already. There was this is huge as well. That's a big office here. The funniest was this guy who had who had coffees. Look at that. So much fun. Whoa, 7 hours. Wow. Now look at that. Boys and girls. Office boys, office girls, and the cleaning crew. Lots of people. Office pack. Let's look at Knights. Demonstration. All right. We'll go all medieval now. Do you know, Rod, so detailed yet so low poly. But I can just see throwing together a story you want to tell, like a comic type story, and using those types of people. You don't even need expressions that much. You need literally 2 or 3. You know, you can get away with that, and then a few poses, and you can tell a story. And just do that with stills, or do that with briefly animated, like subtly animated scenes. So the Knights. Ah, castle. Lots of castles. There are characters with all these packs. It's a shame that they're not in here. I could try and drag some in a moment, just so that we get to look at them, even though they won't be animated as such. I'm looking forward to building a forest with trees like that in Blender. I don't know if Unreal has replicator systems, or if you have to do that outside. Because I suppose here, like things like the tombstones here, you could just scatter them around with a replicator system. Oh, there we go. Fire. Very nice. Yes, Game of Thrones in low poly. I'll add some characters. We've got so much wide open space here. Meshes characters. So these guys, why is this moving here? I think it's the dead zones of my controller, I believe. Whoops, I've just moved the grass tile. I didn't mean to do that. So I'll go and put this guy in here. And maybe this guy as well. Several knights here. And this is just the Unreal mannequin, isn't it? Yeah. Just to get an impression of what the guys look like in this here, the knights of the round table. I would imagine they also come with different outfits, just different colors, so that you have whatever, the red guys versus the blue guys. And the full helmet. Do you know there's actually one asset pack that got extracted the wrong way, wasn't it? That's the heist pack. That's something that I may have to extract differently. That is a bank from the inside, like a bank vault, and you've got robbers and an FBI agent and all that. Snow-capped mountains in the background. Nice. I believe so, Joe. Yes. Yes, that is how it works. Exactly. So it'll be darker earlier. And also lighter earlier, I guess. Oh. Oh, Brian, I know what you mean. It's sometimes there's just so much that you see that you get this blank expression, that there's so much stuff going in and your brain can't quite compute it all, or says, hey, I've got so many ideas of what I could do with this. They're all here at the same time, and I just can't make head or tails of it right now. Mouse, hello. There we go. I won't save this because that's just gets my guys in there. What was the last one that we had here? There was the heist pack for sure, but there's also adventure. Let's have a peek at the adventure. And I think then we're going to call it a day. This is the last one we're going to look at today. And we're not going to do any channel housekeeping because my brain is about to explode as well. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's spring forward and fall back. That's what Julia always says. What happens to the clocks? In the spring, they spring forward, and in the fall, they fall back, even though we call it autumn, which confuses us. Ah, we have 3 maps this time. We have demonstration, and we have demonstration large. Let's do that. Let's see what the wild, vast wilderness looks like. I like that the first thing always looks like an old photo that's not quite developed yet. Demonstration large persistent. Whatever that means. Well, does the water move now? You can just imagine a little harmless little RPG in this environment, and you have to walk vast distances to fulfill your quests. Steve, how does it work with summertime and wintertime at your end? You don't have that, right? No worries, Christina. And I have taken that bug that you suggested to Haza. I might submit that with the spaces in the import versus export settings. Thank you so much for dropping by. Have a wonderful night. Let Ralph play with Unreal Engine once it's downloaded. And I will see if I can compile something like that I can share on Discord. Have a good night. I will see you on Wednesday, hopefully. Perhaps we'll speak before on Discord. Oh, speaking of compiling this, there's also audio loops that you can add there. I think there's some in the default Unreal assets that you have, like chirping birds and some atmospheric wind in the background, so that you know, when you look through this scene, that you can actually hear something as well. There's something for the ears there. So super cute. Brian, are you downloading Unreal already? Because it is literally as simple as download, unzip project, double click, hook up controller. Not even controller, you can do mouse and keyboard. That is just so nice. It's like you can just point your camera and just go, oh, maybe I'll take a picture from here. Put a character in there. I have to say, I've had Unreal on my system for the last year, and although I have looked at it, it was all very difficult to get started with it for me. And I think it's because I was lacking assets that just open up like this and go, hey, look, this is what you can do. I think it's really, these assets have made a massive difference on how I see Unreal now. Because it's like a 3D modeling application that you think, well, if you have to build everything from scratch, that might be a bit of a challenge, even though you probably could. It's just much less fun to do that than just go, hey, let's go and pop a scene in and take it from there. Like pretty much the DAZ Studio approach, isn't it? You just have a toolbox of stuff, you put things together, you throw your scene together, and then you tell your story. The good thing is, Steve, that on Google Calendar, it will take care of it. So if you go and just put whatever time you want to stream into the calendar, then I can tell you what my calendar says that time is. So if you put your regular time in at your end, then I can tell you what Google tells me that is at my end. Yeah, maybe you need a second clock that you run on Eastern Standard Time or something, or like a whole row of clocks that you have, you know, Eastern and GMT, German time, which is also, that's the thing in Germany or in Europe, the times will change in 3 weeks. So at the end of March, which is weird. So we're having this time change, and then in 2-3 weeks time, we're going to have another time change. That's not complicated, is it? Crazy stuff. Well, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day here myself. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Thank you so much for checking out those little assets. Thank you for your donation, Dreamlab, from yesterday. We've put that as a down payment on Julia's new bike. Thank you so much for your subscription, Joe and Rod. I really appreciate that, to welcome you into the subscriber family on Twitch. That is absolutely cool that we can do that. I'm going to have lots of fun with this. I'm putting a link to the description of my article in how to get the walking character in on the YouTube description. And if I find out anything else, I will let you know. There's a couple of videos I've recorded that I haven't had the chance to edit and upload yet, but one will deal with the NLA editor in Blender, and the other one will deal with how to avoid those grayed out shortcuts that are no longer valid in Blender in the like file open dialog. My friends, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to meeting you again at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what the time change brings, on Wednesday on Twitch. Other than that, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the weekend and a wonderful week next week. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.